Hello, everyone. So excited to be back today, which actually is a last minute decision because we realized that there is so much more we want to talk about. And we just wanted to see how we can evolve in certain topics. And today's topic is really something that I wanted to share because I realized how we go through life and observe certain things and then don't realize how much it actually involves us in this whole thing. And I had the conversation yesterday with Jenny Mortak, who was supposed to be here, but unfortunately she couldn't make it. She got a cold and her throat is hurting, so she can't be here to share her voice and her insight on today's topic, which I'm going to introduce in a little bit. And so we were talking about different aspects of it, and Diane and Swati were so kind to come back also to bring their time and talk about more about their experience being mothers. And so yes, for those who are new today, who've seen this for the first time, there is a part 1 where we had a panel discussion with 5 other people, and we were just talking about the challenges on motherhood. We were talking about what tools we use, and we just explored a little bit and shared these different stories. And even though all of our experiences were very different from each other, we all can agree that there is something that we went through at the same. And so postpartum, a huge topic we have to address that we all mothers actually go through, no matter how little this is. It doesn't have to be severely something that you can notice on your child and yourself. It can also be something that goes on inside that we actually just put aside, not really addressing that there is some change happening. And actually, so my son is turning 7 in November. My life is going upside down. I cleaned up all our rooms, my son's, my own. And I was wondering, like, what is going on? So 7 is the number, right? So that's when he's born. This is how long we've been in this home. 7 is July when I'm born. So 7 is I don't know about you, but for me, it's a great number. If you ever play any, poker, or not poker, but like the Vegas game, 7 is a good number. You can almost always win something. Just so on the side. And so what I noticed when I did this cleanup, that there are so many things that are showing up as me. It's my story, it's my experience as being a child. And so often and not do we have, that's all we have, right? All we have is our own experience. And I think bringing it back to this postpartum is just that we don't know anybody else's stories. We don't know what other people are going through because we're hiding them behind closed doors. We don't feel comfortable sharing those aspects. And because of that, we then isolate our experience. And we don't really connect and realize that it's based on our own experience, and we need to share them so that we notice the common grounds. Anyway, the connection I want to make with the postpartum and the stories that we all have connected to that, and then connection to me cleaning up and noticing how I have myself showing up in my son's bedroom because of my own interests, is just to show how necessary it is to exchange our words with each other. Because now my son is 7, and I think Avi is also going to turn 6 soon. He's 5 now, he's turning 6 exactly. And then we have Diana, who has 2 children who are 9 and 14.
10 and 14 now.
10 and 14, there you go. And so we have gone through different ages already, right? So I mean, Swati and I are still at the beginning, and last week we had actually 2 people who had 2-year-olds. So if Jenny was here, we had a 2-year-old's experience as well. And so what I want to say with this is that, and I'm sure Diana can tell us lots more about what I'm going to say, but what I noticed is that in the first few years, when the kids are just about to find their own voice, it's for us to also adjust. Because when we gave birth, and that's my realization, is that this is my new life. it's like Swati was saying last week about us having 3 lives. And I was actually thinking about 4 lives, and I'll share this with you later on. But the 3 lives that Swati was talking about was that the first life we're having is when we're born. The second one, when we get married or have a significant other that we're spending the rest of our lives with. And then the third one is when we give birth. And that's exactly what I just realized when I went through that cleanup. And so with that, we also have to acknowledge the changes that we go through. And I think I touched on that last time, is that when our children grow up, we grow up with them. And what happens a lot of times is that we stand still without growing up, and we just keep, I want to say, barking orders. So that's kind of like how they probably hear us. But for us, it's more like, oh, we want to guide them. We want to tell them, watch out, don't do this. I've done this before and you can't, don't make these mistakes. And just this morning, I was realizing, I was doing my exercises and I was just thinking like, oh, my body when I was 20 is certainly not like it is today. But if I would have known this when I was 20, would I believe that? Would I have had a different way of experiencing my 20s? Probably not. It wouldn't have changed anything. Which I want to say with this is that we have to move through these different stages together at the time that we're at. And also always being present in what is, and not basing it what happened in the past or what we think is going to happen in the future. And so I want to open up the conversation to the both of you and just share with me, with us, what you have to share as for what I just brought to the panel.
Diana, you can go ahead.
Okay. Yes, there's so much wisdom you said in there, Aditya, and so true. I mean, during my 14 years with the kids, that's what I said the last time we had this conversation, that we should change together with children. I totally agree with that, because if you are stuck and rigid, your children will trigger you. Your children will make that you will have to somehow look at it, or if you don't, then you are very rigid, then you will have problems later on, maybe when kids grow up or when they are teenagers and start to rebel, because you forced your own view of the world on them. So yes, we see everything through our own experiences, through our own projections. So yes, when you were talking, I remembered I love soccer or football, English football, I mean soccer, you say it in England, not the American football. And I loved playing it with my dad and my brother and some friends when I was little, and I loved running. And I hope, when my son is born, he will love that too. And we bought a lot of balls to him and to play with. You know what he did? We said, oh, this cute ball. Yeah, this is that mutant and this is that monster. And he was just creating stories about it. He was never interested in balls, playing with ball. And then when our daughter was born, she's really, really fast runner naturally, and she ran the ball and so on. So I thought, oh, maybe you want to try football. And she started to play football, and she was really fast, really good. And I was this, ambitious mom going there for the training, helping trainers out sometimes when they had problems. And I was staying there, just enjoying myself. Until my daughter said, Mom, but I don't want to finish it. I said, yeah, sure, come on, it's fun. You just, you're just nervous. Everything will be fine. After that, few times especially when we match, she was crying actually, and she's saying, Mom, but I don't want to. I don't like this pressure. I love to run, but I don't like this pressure, So I kind of just said, okay, but we paid this half year, so try to go through it and we'll see. And then after that, I didn't pressure, because she said she thought it was boring. She loved running, but she didn't love the aspect of playing the game, and she thought it was boring. And for me, in the beginning, I was kind of sad. They were like, well, but I love this. It would be so fun to have someone to play with. But then I had to release that and realize I was projecting my own agenda there, and there are so many stories about that. So I will not talk about other, but when you were talking, I was just remembering that story. So yeah, we do project. And that's the great thing about awareness that we talked about Spiritpreneurship Summit, to be aware of our own triggers, our own projections. And as conscious parenting, Dr. Shefali usually says, When you get triggered by your child, see them as your mirror and remember, okay, you are projecting. So go inside and look curiously. Why are you triggered? Because probably you are projecting your own things onto them. And usually what I found after going through this conscious parenting journey for 2 years, that's usually true. So it's a lot of, yes, it's a lot of learning and growing together with the kids. Yeah, definitely.
Wow. I love what you shared. So honest and real, and also what Raditya shared. And before I start with my child, I actually want to start with myself, because I feel like we all have this inner child, right, that we are constantly nurturing or realizing, and there's this voice inside us. And Raditya knows, recently I'm going through this place where I'm trying to pick a name for my business, my work. And, of course, I'm getting inputs from my mom, my husband, or even Raditya. I sent some suggestions. I was like, which one? And it's interesting how everyone picks something so different from my list. And I'm like, it's kind of very confusing for me. But then I realized, like, everyone's giving what their opinion, what they feel is right. And then it dawned on me that it's okay to take suggestions, but also I should go with what my heart says, because it's my project. And I feel like as a child, we, coming from an Indian culture, we are trained to confide in our parents a lot and kind of go by what they say. And sometimes that suppresses our own thinking and our own opinions, I feel. And uh, fast forwarding this, I think I'm doing this a little to my son. And it was stifling for me, and I just don't want that to happen to him. So every time I'm being a typical Indian mom, again, I'm sorry, this is not stereotyping, but just saying that overbearing, because we want to protect, right? We don't want them to make the same mistakes. We want them to realize that, oh, I did this, and this was the outcome, so I don't want you to do this. But then I've started to step back and realize it's okay to get burnt a little, and be like, and also tell me, like, how did it feel? Was this a lot for you, or was this little? Are you going to repeat the same mistake, or are you never going to do this? So it's a very interesting awareness, like Diana said, that I've built around my son, that um, sometimes when he's jumping out of beds, and I would always be like very careful, little things like that, and be like always hovering around that, oh, I can't even go to bathroom because he's standing on the bed. But I've started to let go of all that. I also see that a lot in my food. um, Coming from an Ayurvedic background, I try to cook healthy, and I want him to eat healthy. And I never give in to what he wants to eat. I'm always like, oh, soup is great. Isn't it great? Doesn't this taste the best? And gummy bears are worthless, things like that. But I'm like, why am I doing that? Why am I being so extreme? Let him pick both. Maybe a combination of both. Maybe he'll have this custom tailored plan one day where both are good for him. So just stepping back a little, I think, is going to make him who he is, because I'm going to steal his identity otherwise, and I'm just going to create another Swati, and that's not going to be fun.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for sharing this. I mean, you're bringing it to the point what we're discussing today, because that really is the epiphany of like motherhood and like seeing, I mean, parenthood period. I'm sure that the dads around, they see similar things. They might just be less triggered or noticing as much, because one thing I really is like giving birth and like having this experience of physically moving a human being through your body is really a different kind of experience than you being a bystander, like somebody's being there. Even though their help is tremendous, they're there for everything, it's never going to be the same. I mean, this is why I wanted to have this soul environment with just mothers, because it becomes a different kind of attachment. And I'm not talking about the attachment that we're talking about, the, the projections that we're having, that is the one type of attachment, but the physical attachment that has to happen over years, that is slowly acknowledging like, okay, I have gotten this in my body. I've had this in my body. It's now out of my body. And it's a slow progress to really separating us, that physicality that doesn't exist as a thing. It's more of like an feeling, an embodiment that is still existent, that I feel. And I've started to see him through this cleanup actually in different eyes. I felt like it really helped me to make that distinction between this is you and this is me. And yet it's always going to be something where your heart says like, oh, just don't do this. Or, oh, if you just could do it differently, it just will be so much better for you down the line. And yes, I agree with you, Swati. Let them burn slightly. Not that they're burning their whole hand off, but maybe just a tad, like see them go to the fire and like touch them and not take it off, because our reactions are made that way. Our bodies will respond to that. And on the street, I want him to walk without me holding his hand every single time. I want him to create that boundary, but also to let him know ahead of time. It's like, listen, when I say stop, it means stop because there is danger. Okay, there are cars you might not see. We just as an example, yesterday we were at the playground, we're at the parking lot, and he's like, Mommy, can I go already? And it's like, you can, you just have to walk step by step. You don't run, you walk, you stop, you walk, you stop, you keep looking. I keep an eye on him, obviously. And yet it's just really this piece of you to let go and just know it's going to be fine. If we are giving that space to them and understanding that you making the choices that are right for you right now, then you will make right choices in 10 years from now, in 20 years from now. But when we always try to protect them because we know what can happen, when in fact we don't, right? We don't know if it's going to happen. We don't know if they want to be burned again because they're like, oh, actually, I want to try this again, right? It's like, don't, but maybe that's what they want to try out. Maybe they have a different skin level, maybe a different pain level. And I'm not saying like, go, above and beyond to like put them into difficult and like dangerous situation. Like I am certainly not saying this, and I wish we had Dedu here because in this Spurpreneurship Summit, she was talking about human design, and she also did the human design for her daughter. And it was really funny to see, like, she was talking about her, how she eats food, that she has to like spread it out, I think, or like touching, like just do something very, that we as parents probably wouldn't want them to do because it's probably messy and like, with the hands and this and that. And she's like, but the human design said like that's what they do to discover and to notice and to see what they really like and don't like. And so she let that happen, right? And so I found this really interesting that we can have our kids explore in a safe space with things that we just don't want to clean up the mess, and yet it's something for them to explore. So that's what I'm talking about. It's like having these spaces that we feel comfortable in. Maybe not a parking lot per se, but yes, for me that was like, oh yeah, let's go past the boundaries. Anyway, and so that's kind of like the idea, right? And the other thing that I also love that we want to talk about is like this mirror that you said also, Diana, right? Like our children are the mirror to us. It's actually a separate being that is part of who we are, and they're watching every step we make. And I'm sure you've heard the saying before, it's like, do as you say, don't say as you do, or something like this, right? Where you don't want them to tell them how to do it. You got to live it how you want them to do it. And so it really was interesting to observe these parts. And I am doing these too. I don't talk as nicely as I could to my husband every single moment, right? There are harsh and rough conversations sometimes. This, and my son does that too. And I just don't know how to change it. So yeah, Swati, please share what's
I just wanted to say yes to that, because, and then it's interesting how my husband is like, he is exactly like you. I'm like, great. Thank you for making him like me just for this moment.
Oh,
Can I share as well? Because first of all, I want to say, especially what you talked about, your company and so on. I mean, I grew up in Soviet Union. It's not the same culture as India, but I was in Catholic country,
Yes.
learn to adapt. And by not listening to my heart, that's why I lost myself and burned out, partly also for so many times. So yes, listen to your heart is the best way for you to show your way, but also, as I said last time, it's the best way for us to show what we believe in. As you say, Raditya, that we show our kids how to live, not tell them, because they will not do what we tell them. They will do how we show them how we are living. Because even though if maybe they sometimes will listen to us, if we have this authority at home, then we will go out in life. They will still either they be unhappy, or they will do their own. They will go their own path anyway. So I mean, yes, it's really hard, because I was very worried about my kids, and sometimes still am. And that's what I wanted to say for you moms who are not. I mean, you have younger kids. Trust me, even though if you know that you shouldn't project on them, you will still do for the rest of your life, because it's how we programmed. And when we are tired or exhausted, we totally project on them. So the best thing what we can do is forgive ourselves and those moments, and then just try to be more aware next time. Because I mean, it's happening all the time with my kids, all the time. But I thought about another story when you talked, Aditya, about Dedus. My son, he's 14, and he loves exploring and experiments. And when they were small, I mean, I actually gave them experiments, and the kitchen looked horrible and everything. But actually, I just didn't look, because for me it was more important that they explore and find out things for their own. And I was trying to encourage that. And it was so funny when we were cooking food now. He said, "Mom, I want to do this dish. I want to do chicken pie, but I want to do the pie from the chicken as well." And my first reaction, no, you can't do that. What are you talking about? But then I just stopped myself and say, oh, well, why not? Let's try it. And we both worked in the kitchen, and it was like creative process. It was really interesting. And actually it was really delicious. So we made this chicken dough with a crust, and then we had some chicken with different spices in it, and it was very healthy, mostly protein, and really good. So it was, I mean, they encourage me, our kids, when I'm not projecting and not overbearing, which I can totally be. they show me this creative way of solving things and learning me some stuff that that can be in a different way. My husband also is doing that, because we're learning to see things from different perspectives. So it's a growing process. Yeah, I just wanted to share it.
Yeah, no, thank you, Diana. I really like that. And actually talking about kitchen, which is like my favorite place to be in at home. Raditya knows that. And I've been through something similar. Like I make these teas or any dish, and then my son is like, "Mommy, I want to cook," and I'm like, "Come on, you're just 5." But then I did the same thing. I was like, "Why not? What if he even stirs right now?" That involves him, and you know what? That way he'll get to eat it. He'll want to eat it because he feels like I made this dish, and that matters. And just the process of bonding. I also feel like we are in this place where kids are expected to be in like soccer, okay, next piano, okay, karate, okay. I'm like, they're not robots. Let them play and be creative. And it's okay if a boy wants to be in a kitchen. It's not a taboo. They should just be creative and play. And that's what I do now. There is no expectation or baggage I have for my child. And that's so liberating in itself, I feel. And I'm like, I just want to see how beautifully this unfolds, because there is this one faith I have that whatever it will be beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I love it. I love it. And yes, it's so true. And, it makes me realize, my son plays soccer. So Diana, you will be proud. And on my end, I actually had zero interest in soccer all my life. Although I grew up in Switzerland, and soccer is like one of the number one games there, which now is a huge advantage, because when we go to Switzerland, he always finds someone to play. So I'm really, really happy also to learn about this sport that I never really was interested in, just because of the goals, which now I realize was only because I was focusing at the end. Now my son is teaching me what the process is, how much actually goes into these games, and I get to see beyond what I thought I saw. And it really opens up this other possibility of sportsmanship, what soccer or any other team sports is, right? It's like the athleticity that goes in there, the team work together, how they work together, how just these different ways of what a sport does. I grew up doing ballet. I wasn't doing much of like a group thing. I mean, I played the violin, so I was in a community, like playing together, but that wasn't until I was older, right? And so I really don't think I've had this sense of sportsmanship in a team as much as my son does now already, right? And so I do learn a lot of this, and at the same time I'm talking to a lot of parents there whose kids just came from another sport, or have to they're running late for a game because they just came from another game, from another sport, and I just can't understand. And when I ask them the answer is always like, well, but he likes doing it. I'm like, yeah, of course he likes doing it, but he's also only 7-8 years old, who has tons of energy, right? So of course he can do that. But do you want to do all these sports? Would you want to run from one place? I mean, you are running from one place to another, but you're not actually active doing that. You're just sitting there, or you leave them and you go somewhere and then you come back. And I think people underestimate what pressure we put on children. And I'm so happy we brought this subject up, because it's been on my mind before my son went to school, before I even knew how extreme it really is, because it was already crazy when he was in daycare, in pre-K, that the parents always brought them to dance here, music here, this, there. And I'm like, why? Why do you spend all your weekends running from one place to another, when like our mornings are like relaxing, like, okay, he's on his iPad sometimes, but like even those kids will probably be on their iPad sometimes, but we're just having time together. We're like playing, we're making games. Okay, not every Saturday, promise. But at least there is opportunity for this. There is time to just be at home without having to have that schedule and be out, go out, this out. Because if I think about it, I don't think I grew up that way. I don't think I had these schedules at such an early age. And I don't know what the effects are down the line for children growing up with this pressure of having to do multiple sports, because now in the younger age, I don't think it's having such an effect on them. But I think with like probably the age that your children are in, Diana, like around 9-10 years old, when the competition becomes stronger, the comparison becomes more, I think that's when we becomes more difficult, and we haven't given our children the possibilities to make a choice and say, I don't want to do that, like you did with your daughter. I think we are so caught up in doing that we are forgetting to just pause for a moment and like checking in. Hey, are you still interested in doing this? Are you okay with running from one place to another, where we just have to eat dinner on the go and like rushing around and having not enough time? Is this what you really want? Because I don't want to do that, right? And yes, I'm sure there are great things, that kids get from it. And one thing I have to say, if it's a variety of activities, like for instance, one is like have one instrument session a week and then a sports next to it, I think that would be a nice balance, right? I'm not saying don't do anything, just stay at home and bother your parents. Like, that's not what I'm saying, right? It's also for us to think about what are the tools they receive from doing those things. So yeah, that's my thought to what Swati was saying about doing too many things.
I agree. I mean, it just kind of bothers me looking at where the country is going, and I'm like, what rat race, you know? You know
Mm.
why? Um, you know, I was just holding this leaf for a very long time. So pretty. I found it on my deck. There's so many, but this really spoke to me because you see these dark spots and brown, but you know, this is pretty because it's so imperfect. I feel like that's so important to be what who you are, not like a blank, beautiful, vibrant yellow golden leaf, but this is prettier, I think. So I think that that opens up a whole window to think and process, you know, what we are talking about.
Yeah, and I can totally agree with that because as I told you before, I burned out twice. What reasons I was running, running through my life, and I was chasing all these goals. Chasing that my kids were really, active, that they would have good balance, they have good grades, because it was the expectations of the society and what I thought a successful family or successful future is. But at the same time, when I was chasing that myself, I burned out, which shows that my body and I wasn't happy. Far from it. So it made me to change my mindset. And when our son was little, actually, I was pressuring him more. He went to swimming school and everything. But also, we need to look at each child because he was really, really physically active. So he actually had to take that energy out somewhere. So in that case, it worked. And what we do with kids now, it's every half year we have to book for the next half year. And we always ask them, do you want to do this? Or do you want to try something new, maybe? Or do you want to go once in a week instead of twice? It's fine, because I see for my son who is 14 and the 8th grade, it's quite a lot of things to do in school. So his pressure is rising. And I say, it's fine if you don't want to go to the trainings 4 times a week because he chose it himself. He said, yeah, but mom, it's fun and I'm tired when I want to go there. But when I go there, after that, I feel really good and energetic and it's fun. And they said, oh, that's fine. But you know that you can always choose, and say to us if you don't want to or so, as long as you move some, because it's important for your future health. But otherwise, just let us know. And I think it's been working. And our daughter, she's not playing football, but she's dancing because she loves dancing. And she's doing it twice a week. And then sometimes she wants to try a third. But, it just they say they do what they want to do. And I, like last week in our son, I said, do you want to do something? Do you want to, do something with kids, with friends and so on? He said, no, mom, I just want to relax and just take it easy. And we're just like, hey, fine. And I mean, it's so liberating to have this, choice and freedom and, to choose and have these slowly mornings as you talk about, Raditya. But my former self would be really, really stressed with it. Just like, we have to be effective. We have to use time wisely. But then I realized I had a fear of dying young because my uncle died when he was 29. So I had this fear in me. So I always wanted to live and explore and see a lot in my life and live fast because I was afraid that I will miss something. But by running like this, looking at the future, I actually missed the present moment. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I think I agree. Worrying, running, catching up with time, or actually fast forwarding time for yourself. It's, to be honest, I am tired of living in the fight, flight, freeze action. I'm done. I'm like, I want to be more mindful, want to be more present and as present as I can be, because the moments when I realize I'm breathing is the moments when I'm like, oh my God, this feels so good. And I'm here, and uh, it's life is beautiful, life is good. But then human tendencies, right? We go back to fight, flight, freeze, and it's tiring. It's very exhausting.
Oh, yes. I mean, that's probably what Diana can refer to when you say it's tiring, because that's how burnouts happen. Burnouts are overexhaustion of your body and like overdoing things and not taking a break. Is that I understand in a nutshell, right? And then just to bring Jenny back into this conversation, she said the other day, actually, like, just see that today is going to be the best day of your life. Every new day is the best day of your life. And I just love that, because the things that happened in the past, maybe there was a best day back then, but we moved on from there. We are here right now. Here right now is the best day. Make this the best day. And even if we have a short life, even if tomorrow is the end, if today was our best day, we actually lived to the fullest. And yes, I'm not saying that this is very easy, and I'm not saying to leave everything behind and just quit your job and just sit there and just enjoy. No, that's not what it is either. It's just to really notice, like, what is arising for me. If I'm stressed out about something, like you can tell my hair is still wet, meaning I just took a shower before this call. I did just roaming around. I was taking it easy. I was like mindful of my own time. Wasn't really mindful of the time coming up, but that's how life goes. And I remember Dedu having a conversation with someone on Instagram around, that stress is okay. There is a okay amount of stress. This actually can be invigorating and like life forcing, like really making you enjoy life in a different way. It just can't be constant, because then we burn out. And so it really is to understand our limitations, knowing ourselves, and therefore talking about the relationship with children, right, with our children, is to understand that they too are trying to figure out themselves. They too are trying to figure out what works best for them. How do they have to express themselves? And we have to learn this for ourselves. We have to start noticing what's happening inside of us, noticing how we want to share our thoughts and feelings. And why I created all this, and by the way, I haven't said this last time, and I haven't said it this time. I keep forgetting to introduce myself, and that this is Aditya from Mindful Being. And I'm creating this. Everything that I'm creating is always around awareness of the present moment. It's all about appreciating what is, no matter how difficult or comfortable something is. Because as we've touched on many times in these subjects, is that we have the tendencies to just go what's comfortable in one way or another, right? We don't want to get to these places that are uncomfortable, even though when we're stressed out and going from place to place, maybe we feel uncomfortable, but our focus is on trying to get something done, or we see that thing to be our focus, but we losing the touch to ourselves. And I think that's what I really want to bring forward, but also what everyone has said throughout these 40 minutes, is that we've really been trying to get to a place to always remember who we are, no matter what we're doing. There are, as we said last time, many identities that we go through a day. That means many selves that we are going through in a day. And so addressing to each self, to each identity, what we need right now. And these conversations that we're having with the two of you, and sometimes more, it lifts me up to know that there are people in this world that think like this, that want to make the moment precious, that want to make their lives just as an exploration place, a discovery place, and not chase it to the end line. I was just writing an article about chasing to the end line, meaning we're chasing death. The faster we go, the closer to death we are. And so the slower we go, the more we can observe and notice. And so my tendencies are not always that way, but I realize when I do, especially in these conversations, and Swati, bringing up this leaf is just this, right? Just show it again. Like, this is it. This is who we are. We are we have wrinkles, we have misshapes. We don't look like every other leaf. You can pick up another leaf right there and it won't look the same. We can pick up millions of leaves, and that's exactly who we are as human beings. None of us are the same, and yet we're trying to force everyone into one lane to make it easier. But life is not easy. Life is here to be enjoyed with all the flaws that come with it. And yes, I want to open up for you guys to share a few more thoughts that you're having around self, around identity, around how we show up in our world and not tame our kids to become ourselves. The floor is all yours.
Thank you. I just want to tell you, this looks like a couple. This is what couples are in real life. They're night and day. But just to conclude, I think what was arising for me is that a relationship with a child is also like a give and take. And interestingly, going back to my interest is in cooking, and my son's interest is in some mechanical things, and right now his special interest is the sprinkler system that he watches documentaries on, and he knows every little part and every model. And I used to judge him a little initially, that what is this, this doesn't make sense. But now I've started loving it. I've started being part of it. When we go on our walks, he'll show me, Mimi, look at this is this model, and this sprinkler is missing this is a tall one, this is this. And I'm like, show me, Avi, show me, because the joy of sharing his interest is way beyond me pulling him into and be like, look at my cooking, because I feel like when I do that, he is drawn naturally to what I am doing, and we just share this beautiful dynamic of just exchange. And I feel it's just pure joy, right?
Beautiful. It looked like you wanted to say something, Raditya.
No, it was just a light bulb going off. That's what happened. And it was because it's always me showing him me when he wants to share who he is. And I think, oh my God, this is a whole other conversation. This has a little bit to do with being a mother, but that's like anybody in this world. Doesn't matter who you are, but we are way too focused on me, how I see the world, how I do things, how I want it to be done. And this is the only way, this is the right way and no other way. And that's just what came to me. It's like, when you have children, this is a teaching lessons for us to step out. So for us, it's not to have the conversation as mother, because this is what we're taught to do. We not even taught in sense of somebody taught us, but that's just human nature as a mother, right? We are automatically focusing on them once we realize that we're being projective. But once we realize those, we really start to seeing them as a human being, and we take ourselves out. I mean, that's the challenge of being a mother, because we do too much for our children and we don't really take enough time for ourselves. So there is this, balance that we have to do. And I know you were looking at self-love a lot. You shared something today about self-love. And yes, we do have to do self-love, which doesn't mean me. Self-love means care for self as well. It means care for everyone, include yourself. So yeah, that's all that came to me. So Diana, thank you.
That's beautiful. And that's what I'm usually saying when I'm in conscious parenting ambassador. I'm always saying to the people, just take care of yourself. You need, as I said in the last call as well, it's so important, because if our cups are empty, which I have been having quite often, I can't be this mother that can see what kids are doing and really see them, and that is actually very important for me. And it's the most important thing for the kids to feel seen and heard by their parents, that they really truly see them for who they are. Because I was losing myself because I was adapting. So for me, it's so important that my kids feel seen and heard. But the thing is, when I am, stressed out, I become my own mom, and I love my mom. She's beautiful, she's wonderful. But then I'm starting to teach him, oh, you need to do this and that, and then I just don't listen. And my husband, she said, but you are just talking. Stop talking. Just listen. It's a really good reminder for me. It's like, yes, thank you. I need to breathe. I need to calm down, and I need to listen. And maybe I need to take a bath and just go to bed so I can take care of myself and have more energy for the next day, you know. So and then I see this beautiful synergy that we all walk through our life's journeys, and there will be up and downs because there are lessons to learn, and there's everything in life, both joy and grief and everything. And we go there, and our kids go beside us, and we just, you know, go in separate ways, but beside one another and learn from one another. At least I choose to see that, and most of the time.
Yeah. No, this is great. I agree with you. It really is incredible how there are so many facets to it, and because it's so complicated, right? Like we were talking about, like, oh yeah, pay attention to yourself, but then give it that and that. It's like there's so many different layers to that, and I think we really want to just be human again. I don't know who said that just the other day. Someone was like, just be human again, to practice to be human again. And it's really something. Oh, it was Jenny. Yes, it was Jenny in yesterday's conversation, just being human again, you know, with all the flaws that Swati was showing on that leaf. You know, I think we've had this imagination of the perfect human being that does not exist the way we imagine it, because the way it exists is just like this, right here in these 3 windows that we're sitting in. This is who we are. This is being human. Being human as we are, from head to toe, inside out, nothing to be changed, but just to become aware, noticing what's happening around us, adjusting accordingly, because the way we are, that the things that we don't like about ourselves, the things that we might judge ourselves for, are nothing to be worried about. I think if we can just let go of how we were being seen from the outside world, and we just accept on the inside world, it will be accepted from the outside world. I think there's too much focus going on. And prior to this conversation, we talked about it. It's like we think too much. We think too much about, should I do like this? Should I do like this? Because the second we ask this question is because we're thinking from somebody else's point of view, trying to think like, what are they going to think about that? Why are they going to say this? It's the same thing we're doing for our children. We're going to make a judgment for them, thinking like, what are the people going to say when you see you like this? What are they going to ostracize you because you did this? Are they going to include you because you didn't do that? This is what's going on inside of us, but it's a reflection of us. It's us who's doing this to ourselves. And now we are projecting this to our children to feel just the same. How are we going to change this, right? It's by just accepting who we are without judgment and just saying, I got wet hair. Just tough luck, you know, if you like it or you don't, this is who I show up with this, because I didn't have time. And so this is really to embrace our bodies. And one other thing I noticed this morning, I was listening to some meditation music that I used to use for yoga practice. And I sat there in my cushion and I was thinking like, oh, this is nice music. And there are no words, right? There's never any words. Now, my realization was that we should listen to more music without words, be it classical music, be it acoustic music, be it anything that has no words, because the moment we include words, we put in our thoughts. We start thinking, what's the meaning behind those words? What is it going to mean for me? When we just listen to music without any words, it's our bodies who speak. We can cry, we can be angry because of the emotions from the music. This could be another lesson for us to just see how we relate to our bodies in a different way. This is how we can teach our bodies better to be heard and seen, not up here, but in here. And so with that, I want you to have your last words for today's session, for today's panel discussion around identity and self. And yeah, thank you.
I think Raditya, you nailed it. You nailed it so well. It's just touched me here. And I really hope the message is going out because it's true, why are we thinking about the society so much? um, we should just no judgments, right? We should be who we are. And you're right, we are a self-reflection of ourselves. We are reflecting who we are, but also we are reflecting who we were taught to be.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're doing that to our kids. And I feel like the moment we start realizing that, everyone should be the way they are and everyone's going to find their tribe, there is a place for everyone in this world. And I think that's probably my words for closing the talk, but really just be yourself. There's a place for you.
That's beautiful. Now, for me, it's also forgiveness to yourself when you actually do things that you are not proud of, or you realize maybe you did something, because we all do, and there will be days. It doesn't mean that we, destroy our children forever. We don't. We can always change. I mean, I've been, there are parents in the course that are grandparents now. And it's never too late, to change the relationship. So we shouldn't go around and be afraid that we, the days then we are not feeling well, or that we actually destroy our kids, because we don't. There is another day where we can be more aware and show them that they are heard and seen and so on. So I just wanted to show that the forgiveness and kindness and love to ourselves when we actually don't do as we are from our hearts, or what we expect from ourselves. It's okay as well. And then also, yes, we have naturally that we want to compare us to others. It was a survival thing in our brains, so it comes naturally to us. So being aware and not to compare us to others, it takes some awareness and work. And where comes the breath as well. Again, just breathe, notice your body, remember that you are who you are, and just be kind to yourself. Because when we are kind to ourselves, it's easier for us to be kind to others as well. So yeah, that's my closing.
Thank you very much, Diana and Swati. Yes, be kind to yourself, therefore be kind to others. This is really beautiful to end this, and just to know that who you are, the way you are, is just perfect, and that there is always place for improvement. We can always improve into the person that we want to be, and also accept what is. And thank you, everyone. Share with your heart always. And so thank you, everyone, for being here. I'll see you